Welcome back to My Mythical Meta, your gaming podcast that's actually your secret friendship podcast. What a day it is. Today is April 23rd, and yesterday, April 22nd, Wizards of the Coast, in their almighty wisdom, released a new Commander banned and restricted announcement. So today is a special edition of News from the Warfront. News from the Warfront. We are going to be talking about those new unbans and the changes in the Game Changer list that affect the Commander bracket system. They released 2 articles. If you've been listening to the show, there were some unbans that we had high on our hopes to see, and we got none of them. None of our wishes were granted.
Nope.
Instead, they brought back a lot of stuff that nobody was asking for. And then they did give us an update on how the Commander bracket system is working out. I think it's been working out fine. We've included it in our deck techs, but we haven't necessarily gone through the act of using the brackets in a situation with strangers. Who knows how it's going out there? Gavin Verhey seems to think it's doing great. Okay, so new things first. We have got some cards unbanned from the previous ban list. Gifts ungiven.
Yes, I'm actually really excited about that one.
Me too. I was excited about this too, mainly because I got some copies of Gifts Ungiven in Double Masters.
Oh yeah.
and I remember when opening those packs, I was like, so you occupied my rare slot with a card that you know is banned to Commander?
Yeah.
I was really frustrated, but hey, it's back.
It was a gift ungiven at the time.
Exactly. It was a gift ungiven. We love this card. We just released our 2 Reanimator videos. They should have released this unban announcement a week early because we would have included gifts ungiven.
Yeah, it's awesome. A lot of people don't know this, but you can, if you search for just 2 cards, your opponent has to put both of them in your graveyard.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it says search your library for up to 4 cards. So you can use this to tutor directly into your graveyard, or you choose 4 cards and you make them some combination of reanimate spells and reanimate targets, and you're good to go. Because either they give you the great card you were going to reanimate, or they give you the reanimate spell into your hand.
Exactly.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah, 2 cards to your hand and 2 cards to your graveyard. Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
So good.
It is a game changer. All these unbans are automatically game changers, so you know that if you stick this in your deck, you're automatically in bracket 3. So if you're trying Timmy's first Reanimator with a bad mana base and all that, and you happen to have one of these, consider that. I'm not saying don't include it because obviously better cards make your deck better. But if you happen to be playing organized play that cares about brackets, consider that when you add this to your deck. But it's good.
Yeah, because you'll need to front load. Hey, this is a 3 because it has a game changer. Next one, Sway of the Stars.
Yeah, 10 mana sorcery that says each player shuffles his or her hand, graveyard, and permanents he or she owns into his or her library, then draws 7 cards. And each player's life total becomes 7. So basically, just restarts the game. Except everyone starts at 7 life instead of 40.
I would be furious if someone played this card against me.
In theory, it should be like
I do not want to restart the game.
Yeah, in theory, it should be like a Cyclonic Rift that puts somebody so far ahead that the game is over within a turn or 2.
Right.
You can float a bunch of mana, play Sway of the Stars, and then out of the new cards you draw, play some of those, and then the rest of your opponent are stuck with their 1 land and whatever they have that costs 1. Play something with Myriad or whatever and knock the whole table out in two swings.
Yeah, I was going to say this is a card that might come up whenever we do our Spellslinger archetype deck, because it is one of those big top-end finisher cards. You can end the game by doing this, either by getting your opponents to scoop, by saying, well, I guess the game we were playing is over, because now everything we did for the last hour doesn't matter, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's what it feels like, because it changes each player's life total and brings everything back. So it's like, okay, well, everything we did for the last hour didn't matter.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me.
If you weren't already playing Worldfire, this is basically Worldfire in blue. And there are so many things you can do with 10 mana that this just isn't, it's just not worth it.
I think I'd rather expropriate
Yeah, expropriate, uh, omniscience.
Yeah, Omniscience. That's Derek's go-to
Yeah,
game ender card. It's everybody's go-to game ender card, I think.
yeah. Like, I mean, basically, look, it's unbanned. Yay!
But you don't
Don't play
have
it unless you
to.
can end the game with it.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
certainly wouldn't want to just cast it raw
no.
without a plan.
Yeah. And that's my worry with it being unbanned. Isn't that it's a problem card, but that people will build their decks so that it's their combo finish, and then they'll fire it off because they're behind and reset everything.
4 players starting at nothing, just racing to deal 7 damage after you've already spent an hour or an hour and a half playing. Like that would make me really upset to just undo everything that we had been doing. So, hey, obviously, listeners, sound off. Tell us what you think about these unbans. Tell us what you think about how playable or unplayable Sway of the Stars is. Next one, Benjamin was super happy to see
Yes.
this. His girl, Braids.
Braids Cabal Minion.
Braids Cabal Minion.
At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices an artifact, creature, or land. So there's a couple ways to play this.
Yeah.
Obviously, Black Enchantments is the way to go here.
Yeah, that's so true because you don't have to sacrifice anything.
Yeah. But I mean, you need tokens so that Braids doesn't have to sacrifice herself. But yeah, no, it's obviously a super frustrating card when you're trying to build things one at a time and then you have to sack things every turn. So for 4 mana, it's faster than a lot of those cards that also do that.
Yeah, this Braids is kind of like the top half of Shieldred.
Yeah.
For half the price.
Yep. Or like Call to the Grave. There's a bunch. There's a vampire that does it. Anawan the Ruin Sage. There's a zombie that does it. There's a whole bunch of them. But Braids is just one in the command zone, meaning you can always get it. And 2, it's very efficient at 4 mana. And if the board taps out, the next player's gonna have to sack something. So that can be frustrating.
Yes, the next player must sacrifice something, but that's not worse than me playing a removal spell and removing the next player's thing.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Except they get to pick it. Like, that seems worse.
Right.
But it does happen every turn. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
no, I don't think this is bad. I think it should have been unbanned a long time ago because it is slow. Like, you're not going to kill somebody's thing unless it sticks on the board, and at the end of the first round, it's done the same as a Fleshbag Marauder that costs 1 mana less, right? So you're having to, and it's slow because it doesn't do it immediately. So some people may not have to sack at all.
Yeah,
I think it's fine. It's a good card.
I agree.
I plan to build it, but it's fine.
I'm sure you do. And this came up in Gavin's second article. He said, we're not going to add a bunch of legendary creatures to the Game Changer list because if people are choosing these oppressive commanders, you have the opportunity right then to say, I don't want to play against that. Players playing with strangers have the opportunity right then, as soon as they see it, to say, well, it changed the game. I don't want to play. I don't want to play against that. And you've solved your problem. Oppressive or powerful commanders don't need to be on the Game Changer list because they're open information at the beginning of the game before the game even starts. Well, in a casual or no stakes situation. I guess in CEDH, you don't care about the Game Changers people have. So anyway.
Exactly. You're expecting everybody to have Game Changers.
Because I suppose there are people who, they show up and then they flip their commanders and then play. But if that's the case, then that's probably a CEDH thing where you don't care how hard it's going to be.
Right.
If there was no pregame discussion whatsoever. So people doing that probably don't care about like an even matchmaking experience. They just want to play hard. So anyway, I think Braids is fun. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Randy was excited about this one in our group chat. Coalition Victory.
Costs 3 white, blue, black, red, green for a sorcery. Says you win the game if you control a land of each basic land type and a creature of each color. Now, this can be like 2 triomes and a 5 mana creature. Not necessarily hard to pull off, but it doesn't continue to check. So if someone has a removal spell, then you spend 8 mana to do nothing. Somebody wastelands your 1 island.
Yep.
Or whatever it is, your triome.
Got.
Then, yep. So it has more than just counterspell as a way to counter it. Basically, any removal spell, any onboard trick, and you're not even going to fire it off till you meet the conditions, and it costs 8 mana, and it only goes in 5 color decks.
Yeah,
I think you're okay.
I think this is nearly always a dead card in your hand.
Yeah,
almost always. Because if you're running a 5-color commander, people want to get rid of it anyway. Like it's like if you're playing the Dragon, it's the lightning rod for removal anyway.
Right, I agree. Now, that said, anytime you see someone playing a 5-color commander, you should expect them to be running Coalition Victory. And once they have access to 8 mana, you should be holding up. It is a game changer. There's a reason it's going to go on the game changer list. The mere fact of its existence warps the game around it.
Yeah.
But at 8 mana, I think that's okay. At 8 mana,
plenty of 8 mana spells that win the game.
Exactly.
Craterhoof Behemoth, etc.
Yeah, and Craterhoof Behemoth isn't dead. Like it requires nothing for you to play it. You play it, it's going to get you some damage in, if nothing else.
Yeah.
It's a haste trampler. So yeah, I think it's fun, but it does mean if you're playing in bracket 3 or higher, then it needs to be on your radar.
Yeah, then you should look for it. Last unbanned card. I had never seen this card before, ever. It's called Panoptic Mirror.
It's a fun card.
It is so wild. A 5-mana artifact that has imprint. You pay X and you tap the Panoptic Mirror. You may remove an instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost X in your hand from the game. So you exile whatever that spell is onto the Panoptic Mirror. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may copy an imprinted instant or sorcery card and play the copy without paying its mana cost. So this is obviously really cool because it can play the same spell over and over again. I think it was banned because people were exiling extra turn spells with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so because as soon as that happens, as soon as it goes off once, you get the extra turn, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, you cast the extra turn spell again. So you can just go, go, go. But that is addressed in the brackets.
Right. If you're playing a lot of extra turns.
Chaining extra turns is addressed in the brackets at brackets 4 and 5. Your bracket is already addressed if you're doing this. So now it's a game changer. And I think this is just a really cool, the Timmy and me wants to exile Expropriate on it, which would change some extra turns because I would always choose turn, but it does have to survive a round around the board.
Right. And you have to pay the full cost of that instant or sorcery. Yeah, so you got to pay 5 for you got to pay 5 for the Panoptic Mirror, then pay the full cost of whatever it is you want to imprint. Then it has to go all the way back around to get to your upkeep again. Then you get the first bit of value from Panoptic Mirror. You would have been better off just casting Expropriate if it's only going to go off once. It has to go, well, I guess if you're choosing turns, then it's never coming. Now you've won, but that's true of any extra turn spell, right? With Panoptic Mirror, but it has to survive. What's more frustrating?
Survive a full round, and you have to pay the full cost of whatever spell you're doing. Like, I almost think you'd be better off at just exiling Swords to Plowshares on it.
Yeah,
and people might let it survive.
That'd be really good.
Maybe.
Yeah, or Victimize.
Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome. Okay,
and that's what Gavin said in the article, that like a value mirror, Panoptic Mirror is so much fun.
Yeah.
But the problem is the extra turns or somebody putting a board wipe on it.
Ooh,
so that's painful every turn.
Okay, so those were the unbanned cards. Be on the lookout for these new game changers and look to see if you want to include them in your decks. Okay, Benjamin, let's talk about the cards that we wanted unbanned that we did not get.
Number 1, Primeval Titan.
Primeval Titan. I mean, what did he ever do to hurt so many people?
I mean, I get it. We were having this discussion yesterday when these announcements happened and crop rotation was put on the game changer list. Being able to search for any land is extremely powerful. It got Golos banned. It got crop rotation put on the game changer list, and Primeval Titan does it twice and then keeps doing it every turn. And there are some really, really powerful lands out there. And going from 6 to 8 mana, I mean, he improves your draws. He's really, really good. Yeah. That said, there are a lot of ways to get any land you want out of your deck. There are lots and lots of ways to do that.
Exactly. That's what I feel. I feel like Primeval Titan is a scapegoat for the problem.
Yeah.
Like, your land tutoring problem is already out there. It's out of the bag. Everyone is doing it with everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And so why not be able to do it with this guy too?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like what he's doing is that bad compared to what's already available for everyone.
Exactly. There's artifacts that search. Archdruid's Charm does it, puts it directly on the battlefield for 3 mana at instant speed, so it's half a Primeval Titan.
Yep. Well, it doesn't have a 6/6 trample body either.
True.
I guess that's part of the value of the creature.
Okay, maybe.
Anyway, we wish Primeval Titan were free from the wizard's cage, but he's not.
Right. Of course, their concern is people will copy it and people will steal it, and it's like, yeah, they'll do that to any big creature. Like, that's not special about Primeval Titan. Great, if you built your deck to steal things and someone played the best thing to steal, whatever the best thing is, exactly, it's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
So I don't think that's a problem. I don't think it. They talk about centralizing the game around it, but I actually don't think that's true. Right? If someone's playing a ramp deck built to capitalize on Primeval Titan quickly and efficiently, then you have to deal with their ramp deck in general. Primeval Titan is just one of the many ways that they are using to get lands out of their deck. Interestingly, in the same article, they mentioned Sylvan Primordial as being more likely to be unbanned than Primeval Titan, and we think that's a worse card. Not worse as like more centralizing, because it destroys things in addition to
and searches up forest,
any forest. So get your triomes. Now, it won't get you your Maze of Ith or some of the cool things that Primeval Titan can, but the fact that it's also picking off other players' stuff. Well, if you're doing blink shenanigans with it, which is the thing they're worried about with Primeval Titan, this one also shuts down your opponent's stuff in addition to ramping.
Yeah, blinking, cloning, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be more upset if my opponent played Sylvan Primordial than if they played Primeval Titan. So that's one. Primeval Titan. I'll do mine, man. I really wanted Jeweled Lotus to come back. We can talk about this throughout Gavin's article. The article is very comprehensive. I will give them credit for that. He goes over most cards on the banned list and says, these are the conversations we had about them. I appreciated that for sure, because a lot of them made perfect sense. I'm in line with their philosophy here. Sorry, let me pull up Jeweled Lotus. He said often throughout the article that this might come off the list, but now is not the time. And I don't know what Gavin means when he says now is not the time. Like, what does Gavin know about the future that we don't, where it's not safe to unban this yet?
Right.
Does he know of a worse Jeweled Lotus coming out? Of a more powerful Jeweled Lotus? And then he says, we're going to wait for that card to come out, get Nadu banned, like the Flash ban.
Right.
And then we'll unban Jeweled Lotus and everyone will be happy for it. They'll be glad we gave them something.
Right.
A pittance from the parade. Like, I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about when he says now is not the time for it.
Yeah. If there's ever a good time, might as well have it early, right? It's just
stick it on the game changer list and then we know. Like, I don't see what the issue is.
Right. Yeah, it's fast mana along with all the other fast mana that goes on the list. Putting it in your deck automatically banks it bracket 3, and chances are if you're playing it, you're playing CDH or high tuned decks. And
it's only good for your commander.
Yep.
Which we see the commander before the game starts, where we can choose to play in that game or not.
Yeah. And it just sucks that it's literally worthless without being legal
in this format.
I mean, it's still apparently, I'm looking at your screen here, it's still worth $100. So somebody's expecting it to get unbanned at some point.
I think a lot of people wanted it unbanned here, but it was not going to happen. We also wanted Dockside Extortionist to be unbanned, and it was not.
Yeah.
Dockside Extortionist, 1 and a red for a 1/2 Goblin Pirate. When he comes down, you get to create treasure tokens, where X is the number of artifacts and enchantments your opponents control. So again, really, really only good if you're doing some blinking or reanimating with it. Otherwise, it's a 2-mana ramp spell in red.
Yeah.
Neat. And a 2-mana treasure generator in red. That's fine.
It is a game changer. Don't get us wrong. This is the type of thing that makes your deck good. Yeah. It follows the same pattern of, I want to blink it, I want to copy it. Stealing it's kind of useless, actually. It's a one-time effect.
Yeah.
But that's just it. Like, you either build your deck around abusing it, at which point, okay, you're a higher bracket deck. Higher bracket decks can handle that.
And when that comes up, sorry for interrupting.
No, that's fine.
When that comes up, it's like you have paid the cost for having Dockside Extortionist by occupying card slots in the rest of your deck to use Dockside Extortionist more.
Yeah.
So that cost has been paid.
Yeah. Yeah. You have
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you have to fill your deck with blink shenanigans and stuff, and then that is your strategy. And somebody can play an Elish Norn and ruin your day.
I like that.
Right, and I mean,
Yeah.
multiple Elesh Norns, actually. The first one just means Dockside Extortionist immediately dies and you can't blink your deck, but also the new one that stifles all the ETB triggers. And
That's right.
so, I mean,
Yeah.
there are many ways to stop it, and one of the easiest is just remove it when they go to blink it, and then it's done.
Yeah.
Hope the rest of their
Yep.
deck is good.
So many problems can be solved by running one Swords to Plowshares in your deck.
Yeah. Or stick it on a Panoptic Mirror and run it every turn.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about some changes to the Game Changer list. First, they rightly removed Trouble in Pairs from the Game Changer
It
list.
should have never been on there.
Should have never been there to start with. Trouble in Pairs, 2 white for a white enchantment. If an opponent would begin an extra turn, that player skips that turn instead. Okay, so it gains you nothing. It gains you, the player, nothing. All it's done is stop somebody else from taking an extra turn. Whenever an opponent attacks you with 2 or more creatures, draws their second card each turn, or casts their second spell each turn, you draw a card. It doesn't stop your opponent from drawing those cards
Or
or casting those
spells.
spells.
Yeah.
All it does is it keeps you, the player who casts Trouble in Pairs, even with them. So it's not putting you ahead of what anybody else is doing.
And if they draw 3 cards, it's only drawing you 1. If they play 5 spells, it's only drawing you 1. If they attack with 10 creatures, it's only drawing you 1. Now, yeah, it could draw you 3 cards a turn, theoretically, or even 9 cards a turn if all of your opponents are stupid. But also, if your opponents aren't doing those things, if they're playing fair magic at bracket 1 or 2, or even bracket 3, Trouble in Pairs was 4 mana to maybe do nothing.
To do nothing or 1 extra card a turn.
Yeah.
Which, how many spells and enchantments are out there doing exactly that? A ton.
It's not stopping my Voltron from smacking you in the face.
Yeah. So we're glad to see Trouble in Pairs fairly and rightly taken off of the Game Changer list. And then we have the same problem with Deflecting Swat that we had in our last overview. We don't think free counterspells belong on the Game Changer list, because that's exactly all they're doing, is countering things or stopping your opponent from doing something. They're not putting you that far ahead. Now, yes, Deflecting Swat changes the target. So if somebody is going to swords your commander, you can deflect and swords theirs. But
it depends on them doing that.
Depends on them doing that, yeah. If your opponent never plays a removal spell or whatever, Deflecting Swat is dead in your hand.
And you're almost never going to play it if they're playing that removal at one of the other players, which is 2 times more likely than them aiming it at you. So I get it. It has the same idea as any of the free counter spells, which is if you're doing something broken, it protects what you're doing for free. So you can do the broken thing and know that someone's not going to Swords to Plowshares your combo piece or whatever. The thing is, that is already accounted for in the bracket system. The bracket system already says if you're a dedicated combo deck, you need to be a bracket 4, right? Or higher. If you're playing these other game changers that you're trying to protect, then you're bracket 3 or higher. In bracket 1 or bracket 2, Deflecting Swat, Force of Will, they don't do anything. They're very bad.
Yeah.
And especially Force of Will, right? In bracket 2, Force of Will is actively bad. And therefore, I don't think putting it in your deck should change your deck from a 2 to a 3. It should instead be the rest of the cards that change your deck from a 2 to a 3 or a 3 to a 4. So cards like Deflecting Swat, it's not significantly different from a God's Willing.
Protection from a color?
Yeah, target. I mean, I guess it's free, but I mean, what are you doing? You're mainly playing it to protect your commander.
What is the 1 mana red? Is it Fork? The one that has Ferocious. Bolt Bend?
Yeah. Yeah, it costs 3 less to cast if you have a card with creature with power 4 or greater.
Yeah. It's Deflecting Swat for 1 red if you meet the Ferocious ability.
Right. And so it's basically the same. Deflecting Swat costs 0 if you have your commander. Bolt Bend costs 1 if you have a creature with power 4 or greater. Why isn't Bolt Bend a game changer?
They have hidden the secret sauce from us, Benjamin. The sacred texts, we don't know.
The secret tech is free. I mean, I kind of get that. Like, they think free spells are automatically change the game, but I just don't Maybe there's something about knowing your opponents can play free spells that's game warping in some way. I feel that because sometimes Derek will pull out a foil.
Huh.
And
Yeah. It's so good. Anybody who doesn't know, here's a card we think belongs in the game changer list.
yeah, by their criteria, you can discard an
Foil.
island and another card, counter target spell.
It's free. All I have to do is discard a land I'm not using and another card to counter a spell. Why isn't this on the list? Because it's a common for 59 cents?
Yeah. Basically.
Curious. All right. I do recommend y'all check out these articles. I'll link them in the description, or you can just Google Commander announcement and you'll find it. Let's talk about cards that we like were added to the Game Changer list.
Yeah, I was going to say that there are some good cards being added that I think are very appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The card that I am most glad to see added to the Game Changer list, Notion Thief.
Yeah. All those cards
I'm very glad to see Notion Thief added to the list for the same reason Hull Breacher was banned. It just completely robs any extra card draw you were going to have. Just completely denied. So for the same reason, I like that Narset Parter of Veils was added to.
There were a few that I was surprised didn't make the original list, like Necropotence.
Yeah.
No one plays Necropotence fairly. It's not possible. It's black to skip your draw step, but pay a life, draw a card at end of turn, basically. Yeah, that card, it's a fun card. I think it's fine to play in a deck, in a more powerful deck or a more powerful meta. I don't have a problem with it being legal. I don't think they should ban it. But also, it absolutely warps the game. Absolutely. You got to gun down the Necropotence player.
What'd you say?
You have to gun down the Necropotence player. It absolutely needs, it's a game
because
changer.
life is their resource for card draw now.
Yeah. And life is abundant in Commander.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, literally, I'd probably, if no one had attacked me by turn 3, I have no problem paying 30 life into this on turn 3.
Yep.
Picking my 7 best cards and winning the game from there.
And going for the win, yeah. I will admit that when I saw this new list of game changers yesterday, I kind of raised an eyebrow at crop rotation. But Benjamin, can you tell me why this is a reasonable...
Yeah.
Why is this a reasonable game changer?
So it's a 1-mana instant, and like we were just talking about, 1-mana instants can be powerful, but the ability to turn any of your lands into any other land in your deck, untapped, incredibly powerful. You're about to lose, you search up your Maze of Ith, you search up your Glacial Chasm. There's so many lands that combo, you can turn any land to a Nykthos or a Cabal Coffers or a Gaia's Cradle, right? It represents for 1 mana at instant speed any land that you needed to go off. And so it's incredibly powerful. Just the fact that it exists in your deck, I think should be telegraphed to people that say, hey, if you see me with 1 green mana open, I could Maze of Ith your creature. Or I can end of your turn, Rogue's Passage, and then swing.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
We love Rogue's Passage here in My Mythical Meta.
That's right.
So they added a few more cards. Field of the Dead was added.
That's another one you can get with with crop rotation. Mishra's Workshop, why was it not already there? It's a land that adds 3 mana for artifacts.
That's pretty good. I've never seen this land before, by the way.
Well, yeah, it's what? Thousands of dollars.
$2,000?
Yeah.
Or free on your home printer.
That's right. I mean, if y'all are really, hey, I'll print up me a Mishra's Workshop. I got a deck or 2 that it'll go in.
Benjamin, you got any final words for our listeners today?
Yeah, overall, I think Magic did a great job, right? I like that they're being proactive in unbans. I like that they're making sure that the game changer list is on point. I like that they're willing to back off of things like Trouble in Pairs or Trinisphere. And I like that the game changer list likely means we don't need as many bans because we have that safety valve. Overall, I think that's great.
So you can put powerful cards on the game changer list, and that way they don't have an excuse if they misrepresent their deck.
Exactly.
If they misrepresent their deck in matchmaking by saying that it's a bracket 2 whatever, and then just straight up lie and they have all these powerful cards in it. Sorry, there are social ramifications for that. And you should be socially punished if you lie. This game changer list, I think, does a nice job of saying, listen, everyone playing Commander now knows that these are powerful cards. And if you have these powerful cards, then you have a powerful deck. Like, that's a logic that I think follows just fine.
Yeah. I like that they are making it easier to communicate with strangers. Obviously, the worst part of Magic is Magic players.
Yep.
us included, viewers, hopefully not you, but anything they can do to make it easier. Yeah, we complained about the lack of prime time or whatever, but ultimately I think we're pleased with what happened.
I agree.
So,
yeah, I'm glad to see, like, I hope every year, because of Gavin Verhey's infinite wisdom about the future, I hope that every year we get 2 or 3 cards off the banned list.
Yeah, I hope
it
so
would
too.
be nice to start seeing that list get a little less bloated, and just see the game changer list as like a well-curated list of powerful cards.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Cool.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. You can find our Patreon at patreon.com/MyMythicalMeta. Meta, and you can, of course, comment in order to talk to us directly. We are very reactive in the comments, very responsive. But you can also email us directly at mymythicalmeta@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. Benjamin, thank you so much for being my good friend and a great brother. Adios.
Bye.
This episode was sponsored by Eldorado Gaming. Use the promo code META for 10% off your order. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. This episode was edited by me, Travis Konishek, and our intro and outro music is by Tyler Heath of the Oh Hellos.